All right, welcome everyone. My name is Tabiso. I am the Community Engagement Specialist with Disability Hub MN, and we have Lydia McComas here with us today from Hennepin County Voter Outreach, and she's going to teach us a bit about accessible voting and voter rights. So I'm really excited to be here, and if you guys have any chats, you're welcome to put those, or any questions, excuse me, you can put those in the chat. And then you can feel free to, you can put on the closed captioning. There's a little button on the bottom that says CC, and I do have the ASL interpreter spotlighted here as well with Lydia. So without further ado, Lydia, yeah, you can go ahead and take it off. Thank you so much for being here.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. As Tabiso said, here, let me share my screen and let me know if you can't see that. As Tabiso said, my name is Lydia McComas, and I am with Voter Engagement with Hennepin County. Really excited to be with you all today, and we're going to talk about accessible voting. We'll talk about different ways to vote with different abilities. So let me go to our agenda slide. So first we'll chat just briefly about voting in 2023, what this year looks like, and some differences that are going on this year. Then we'll talk about different voting options. So first we'll talk about voting from the comfort of your home, and then we'll talk about voting in person and different ways that you can do that. And then we'll have time for questions at the end. But as we're going, if you have questions, feel free, like Tabiso said, put them in the chat and we can answer them as we go. I'm really excited to be here with all of you, and thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay. So voting in 2023, what does it look like? So this year we have municipal elections. Not every jurisdiction has an election, but many do. In Hennepin County, Minneapolis has a big ranked choice voting election. So does Bloomington, St. Louis Park, and a couple other cities. You can check if you have an election at mnvotes.gov/poll finder. You can find that online. So that's the Secretary of State's website. There are some updates for this year. We've got some new election laws. So we've got pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds. That is a new law this year that passed. So 16 and 17-year-olds can now pre-register to vote, and they'll be all set once they turn 18. I want to make sure that people know they still do have to wait until they're 18 to actually cast their ballot. Another exciting law this year was expanded eligibility for people under felony supervision. So people who are under felony supervision now have the right to vote. Before June 1st of this year, they had to wait until they were off felony supervision. So been trying to get that word out to everyone, make sure that folks know about that. As I said, there are municipal elections. Those are on November 7th this year. Not everyone has an election, so double check on mnvotes.gov. If you need to register or update your registration, you can do that at mnvotes.gov/register. If you move or change your name, you do need to update your registration. If you forget and you get to your polling place and you forgot to update, you can update that at your polling place. That's just fine. You can do that on election day. As we'll talk about some absentee voting, I want to remind folks that in odd years, there's not an online application form for submitting an absentee ballot application. You do need to either print off or do the PDF online. You'll have to fill out that and then email it or mail it back or drop it off to your county or city election office. It is a quirk of odd years. There's not an online absentee ballot application. Even years, there is one. So you can find that PDF on the Secretary of State's website or on your county. If we're your county, Hennepin, it's on our website too at hennepin.us/elections. Okay, we'll get going here. A little bit about accessibility and voting. All polling places are required both by ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and by HABA, which is our Help America Vote Act, to be accessible to voters. We are required to have some accessibility features in all polling places. If you see that polling place is not accessible for you or for someone, there is a specific complaint form that you can fill out, and you can send those either to your local election office or to the Secretary of State's office. So we want to make sure that polling places are open and accessible to everyone. And so if you see any issues with that, we do want to know that so that we can remedy those immediately. So a little bit about the polling place accessibility. I will read this out off. I know it's a bit of a wall of text, but I'll read it out off for folks. All polling places have to have paved parking with wide spaces reserved for people with disabilities. They have to have curb cuts or temporary ramps. They must have paved main routes free of stairs or with ramp or elevator bypasses. Entrances and doorways have to have a minimum 32-inch wide walkways and hallways at least 36 inches wide. Hallways have to be free of protrusions overhanging the floor. Handrails are required on all stairs. Signs should be directing voters around obstructed entrances or stairs to accessible routes. Signs have to outline the assistance available to voters, and there must be one or more wheelchair accessible voting booths or stations with a writing surface of 34 inches high. So those are the requirements at all polling places. So you should see those. If you don't see those, reach out or file a complaint with our office or with the Secretary of State's office. But we do take this very seriously, and all election judges have this information and need to make sure that they are complying. We want to make sure that you know that you have the right to vote, that having a disability does not automatically mean that you can't vote. We do know that some people are under guardianship and get confused about what that means for their voter eligibility. And people under guardianship can vote unless a judge has specifically removed that right. And we don't see that all that often. Most people under guardianship are allowed to vote. So if you have questions about your specific case and you have a legal team, reach out to them or look at your guardianship case specifically. But we want to make sure that people know that even if they have a disability, that doesn't mean that they can't vote. They definitely are more than likely they can vote. Wonderful. Okay. So we'll get into accessible voting. I'm just going to talk about a couple options here. The first one that is most popular is absentee balloting. So a lot of people use this. It's available for anybody in the state of Minnesota who would like to vote prior to Election Day. I know a lot of us used it, especially in 2020. In Hennepin County, around 60% of people voted via absentee ballot in 2020. So a lot of people are used to this method. In even years, you can apply online at mnvotes.gov. In odd years, you do need to fill out the paper or PDF form. The ballot is mailed to your mailing address, so you write down what address you want that ballot mailed to, and it can be mailed to you. You have the option of mailing it back or dropping it back off at your city or county election office. You can see here. You don't need to be registered to vote before you apply for an absentee ballot. You can register when you get that ballot, and we'll send you registration information with that ballot. Wonderful. Okay. If there's any questions, put them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. With absentee balloting, there is an option for agent delivery. So if you qualify for an agent delivery, you can have somebody pick up your ballot and then drop it back off. To qualify for this, you do have to live in a nursing home, an assisted living facility, a residential treatment center, a group home, or a battered women's shelter, and that's the legal term for domestic violence shelter, or be hospitalized or otherwise unable to go to a polling place due to incapacitating health reasons or a disability. Agent delivery starts 7 days prior to Election Day, and ballots can be dropped off until 8 p.m. on Election Day. So this is a great option for you if you have a disability or you are otherwise unable to go to the polling place and you would like somebody to pick up your ballot and then bring it back to be counted for you. If you would like to do this, you'll have to fill out an absentee ballot application, and there's also a form, an agent delivery form. And you'll give both of those to your agent, and they will bring them to the in-person absentee location and bring them bring the ballot to you. Your agent does have to be at least 18 years old and they must have a relationship with you. You must know them prior to this activity, and they do have to show their ID when they drop the ballot off to you. They can also only drop off 3 people's ballots per election, so they can't drop off a bunch of ballots. It's only up to 3 plus their own. Wonderful, great. The next way, and something that people don't know a ton about because it's new, the next way to vote from home is with an accessible ballot. So this is an option for people who have disabilities. Anybody who has a print or vision impairment can apply for an absentee ballot and then let our office know that they would like an accessible ballot. So this is available for anybody who is blind or visually impaired, people with learning disabilities or intellectual disabilities, people with physical disabilities that interfere with holding and manipulating a pen or paper. If you don't have a disability, you're not eligible for the accessible ballot. This is a new option that came about a couple years ago. You can apply online for your absentee ballot, and then reach out to your county or city election office to let them know that you would like an accessible ballot. And I see the ASL interpreter paused. Am I on pause too, or are we all good?
No, you are all good. I did see, yeah, the ASL interpreter froze. Let me see. It looks like she just disconnected. So, but yeah, everything is okay with you. So,
Okay, should I keep going? Are people able to use the closed captioning, or should I pause?
yeah, we still have the closed captioning, so you can keep going, and then hopefully Joy, our ASL interpreter, will jump back on. So,
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
sorry
Okay,
about
great.
that. Thank you.
No, great. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't on my end. Perfect. So the accessible ballot is emailed to an individual, and they fill it out with a screen reader or with their computer, and then print it off and actually mail it back or drop it off at their city or county election office. So to receive an absentee ballot, an accessible absentee ballot, you have to first submit the absentee ballot application, just like if you were to receive a mailed ballot, and then reach out to your county or city office and let them know that you'd like that absentee ballot to be accessible. Then they'll email you a link to the accessible ballot. You'll fill it out, print it out, and send it back to your elections office. There's more information online at mnvotes.gov about this option, but it's a really good option for people who want to vote from home, but maybe need a little help, maybe with a screen reader or that kind of thing to fill it out. And like I said, there's more information on mnvotes.gov about this option. Perfect. Okay, next slide here. Get to it. So we're going to move into accessible voting in person. So one way that somebody can vote in person is by curbside voting. So this is if you are able to get to your polling place but can't go inside or otherwise need to stay within your vehicle or outside the polling place, you can vote from the comfort of your car. This is available at all polling places on election day. And to do this, you would flag down an election judge outside the polling place, or you would call your city office if you're not able to find your election judge. Then the election judge takes your information, they go inside, they grab a ballot, they bring it back to you, and this is a team of 2 election judges. They bring the ballot back to you, you fill it out, and then they bring it back inside the polling place. They bring it back inside the polling place to be counted. This is a great option for anybody who needs it. It's not limited to only people with disabilities. This was used during COVID, especially if somebody tested positive on election day and they didn't want to expose people, they could vote from the comfort of their car. We do want to make sure that people are using this respectfully and not overusing it if they don't need it. So if you are able to go into the polling place, that is helpful for people who need this option. But it's available for anybody. Wonderful. The next one that we'll talk about, the next accessible voting option that we'll talk about is assisted voting devices. So assisted voting devices are required in all in-person polling places, including our in-person absentee ballot locations. In Hennepin County, our assisted voting device is called the Omni ballot. But they are available for any voter. You don't need to have a disability or accessibility need to use an assisted voting device, and they're available in all polling places. These devices help people mark their ballot and based on their selection. Then the ballot is then printed with the voter selection is entered into the tabulator. There are different devices around the state of Minnesota. And on this slide, I have images of each of the accessible voting machines. On the top left is the Omni ballot, which is our Hennepin County's device. Many cities and counties and in the state of Minnesota use this device. Then we've got ImageCast Evolution, and I don't know much about these other three devices because we don't use them, but many counties use that. There's also the ES&S AutoMark. Hennepin County used to use the ES&S AutoMark until we transferred to the Omni ballot. And then the fourth device that is certified in the state of Minnesota is the Verity Touch Writer. So on this slide, I also have requirements of all of the ballot marking machines, but they all have a touch screen that allow you to make a selection or a Braille keypad with Braille overlays to let you know what you're marking on your ballot. Each of these devices have headphones that read through the ballot to you and let you mark the ballot with a Braille keypad. And the keypad also has shapes that help you understand which button you're pressing. Each of these devices allow you to turn off the screen for privacy so that nobody around you can see what you're marking if you'd like that. The machines also tell you about errors that you might be making, like voting for more than one party if you're not able to do that during a partisan primary. The ballots are then printed off when you mark them. They're printed off and you take them over to the ballot tabulator. So when you enter a polling place and you'd like to use one of these devices, you let the election judge know. They tell you where that device is. You go, you make your selections through the device, and then the ballot prints out, and then you take it over to the tabulator to count your ballot just like everyone else's. I want to make sure that folks know that these devices are not counting your ballot, and your ballot will be like everyone else's. Next year, Hennepin County will be piloting a new device that will be certified called Express Vote, and that will be piloted at our Hennepin County elections office at the Government Center for in-person absentee voting. So we're excited to see if that new device is maybe better for folks. We've heard a few complaints about some of these current devices, so we're excited to test out something new. If any of you work with people or want us to come out and demonstrate the Omni ballot or next year the Express Vote, we're happy to come and show you this. And oftentimes when people use the device before they vote, they're more confident and they feel better about using it to actually vote on election day. And like I said, these are required in all polling places. So if you go to a polling place, you should see this in a polling place or be able to experience this. And that's true of election day polling places and in-person absentee or early voting locations. Wonderful. Okay, the last option that I'm going to talk about is assistance. So all voters can bring somebody to assist them with voting. That person can help them with reading, translating, or marking the ballot. The assistant cannot influence the voter's choice, though. I want to make sure that that's clear. The assistant is only there to help mark what the voter wants them to mark. Voters can also ask an election judge for assistance with marking or translating or reading the ballot. And again, the election judge is there only to assist you and not to influence your decision. And when you ask for an election judge's help, it will be a team of 2 election judges who are helping you. And I know there's a lot of misunderstanding about what you can bring to the polling place. We've been talking with community members, and sometimes they're surprised that you can bring a sample ballot with you if you'd like. You can also bring your phone into the voting booth if you have notes on your phone about who you'd like to vote for. I know sometimes the long ballot, sometimes some of those judges or sometimes the school board, it gets confusing and complicated to remember the names of the people you want to vote for. So I know sometimes I have to bring some notes with me. So that's an option for you as long as you're not interfering with other voters. Speaking of who can come to the polling place, if you have children or loved ones or young people that you're watching, you can bring them to the polling place with you. You don't need to find childcare. You can bring them to vote with you. Well, we're getting to the end of accessible voting options. This last slide is my contact information. Like I said, I'm Lydia McComas, and I work with Hennepin County Elections doing voter engagement. If you have questions and you live in Hennepin County about access to polling places or about voter engagement, you can always reach out to us. My email is lydia.mccomas@hennepin.us, lydia.mccomas@hennepin.us. You can also reach out to our office. We have a dedicated customer service team at hc.vote@hennepin.us. And we're always here to answer any questions. If you live outside of Hennepin County and you're not sure who to contact, you can contact us and we can get you to your county, or you can go to mnvotes.gov and they have a list of the county contacts there too. That was kind of fast, but I'm hoping maybe there's room for questions that anybody has about voting, about accessible voting, or any sort of election questions that you have. Are there any questions that have come up for anyone? We've got a small crowd today. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I don't see any questions coming in the chat. I don't have any specific questions myself. I just want to say that was really amazing. So much information, and it's so good to hear this because we don't always hear this. And I just want to put out there, if people do have further questions further on, they're welcome to reach us at the hub at 1-866-333-2466, or you can chat with us online at our website, which is www.disabilityhubmn.org. Yeah, and so if it's, I don't know, I didn't ask this, but if it's okay with you, Lydia, this recording, I can put it on our YouTube channel on Facebook so people can watch it later on and get all the information if that's okay.
Definitely.
So
Yep, of
yeah,
course.
awesome. So yeah, we'll put this on. So if anybody needs more information or miss something or want to share this, they can have the opportunity to do that. So we'll probably do that in the next week or so. Yeah, like I said, I don't see any additional questions, and I don't have any questions myself. So with that being said, we can go ahead and end this presentation. And just Lydia, I want to thank you so much. It's so great. I love the work that you're doing and just spreading the word about voting and letting, I have a disability. I use a wheelchair, and so it's so nice for me to know all the possibilities that I have in terms of accessibility, especially because I have had some issues, getting to the polls and reaching things and things like that. So it's really great to know. So thank you so much for presenting for us today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tabiso. And yeah, anytime anybody has any questions or if there are issues that people face, feel free to reach out to our office, or if you're outside of Hennepin, reach out to the Secretary of State's office. And always happy and important to make sure people are accessing their rights. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you all.
Perfect. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone.